We at Time Shifters hope that you enjoyed this rare and infamous moment that combines a first-rate disaster with genuine historical significance. But now it's time to take a deep breath as we prepare to temporarily reset you. Get your cars to Mars.
Hey there, this is Christopher, and I'd like to welcome you to the Time Shifters podcast. On this show, Tom and I dive into movies and TV, mostly in the sci-fi, fantasy, and horror genres, and share our thoughts, give our reviews, and we'll talk about a few other things here and there. So let's get things started. Tom, how have you been?
Busy. Very, very busy these days.
It's that time of year where everything picks up, and we have taken it upon ourselves to make ourselves a little busier for this episode, because not only have we watched a film, we've actually listened to a radio program.
I know, and I was super excited about it too.
It's been a dog's age since I've listened to this War of the Worlds from 1938. You've listened to it before?
Oh,
this isn't a first.
Yeah. This isn't my first listen of that, but it has been decades.
Yeah, it's probably been nearly that long for me as well. So it was a lot of fun. Let me give a little a little background on this. On 8 p.m. October 30th, 23-year-old Orson Welles, who was already familiar to radio listeners as the voice of The Shadow, directed 10 actors and a 27-piece orchestra in a dramatization of the H.G. Wells novel War of the Worlds for the CBS Mercury Theater on the Air program. Now, he did this, but most of the country was tuned in to NBC's very popular Chase and Sanborn Hour, which featured Edgar Bergen and his Charlie McCarthy character. However, channel surfing is nothing new.
Yeah.
Following Bergen and McCarthy's opening monologue, as Bergen introduced a new and unknown singer, many people turned their dials to CBS and came into the middle of what sounded like a live news report of some sort of invasion taking place in Trenton, New Jersey. Having missed the introduction that clearly states that the program was fictional. Mm-hmm. Police departments, newspapers, and CBS were inundated with phone calls. In New Jersey, National Guardsmen wanted to know where they should report for duty, and the Trenton Police Department fielded 2,000 calls in under 2 hours. Now, much of the exaggerated hysteria that is associated with this radio play can be dumped in the lap of the newspaper industry of the time. They were still a little annoyed at the growing popularity of radio as a way or as a tool of passing information and advertising. So they saw this as an opportunity to kind of get back at them.
Get a little dig in. Try to take them down a peg.
Yep. So papers collected the sporadic reports of individual confusion generated by the broadcast and weaved them into a narrative of quote-unquote mass hysteria. Newspapers reported suicide attempts, heart attacks, and exoduses from cities. The New York Daily News printed the feverish headline, quote-unquote, fake radio war stirs terror through U.S., along with the photograph of a woman in a sling who had heard the reports of black gas clouds in Times Square and ran from her Midtown apartment into the street, where she fell and broke her arm. The Federal Communications Commission investigated, but found no laws broken, so they did not sanction CBS or Orson Welles. And thanks to the radio program and its fame, or infamy, Campbell Soup signed on as a sponsor, and Welles spun his popularity to ink a deal to direct, co-write, and star in 1941's Citizen Kane, which of course has been named by many people, as well as the American Film Institute, as one of, if not the greatest movie of all time.
Interestingly enough, still haven't seen it.
Honestly, bad movie fan. I've never bothered to watch it either.
It's not in your wheelhouse. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's on the list.
I don't know about you, but and I hadn't heard this. I knew that he did it, but in the copy that I listened to, it ended with the Orson Welles apology. They had recorded a snippet for the next night where they actually apologized if in the course of listening to our show that you had become confused that this was not a radio drama, and therefore he was making his statement. What was interesting in what I got to listen to is you could even hear Orson Welles preparing to give the statement, like he didn't know. Oh, do you want me to talk now? You catch that at the beginning.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I wasn't prepared for that, and I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. That's a nice
I
little
did
extra.
I did not get that in the one I listened to. Yes, it is. You can find us on YouTube. It's in a few different locations. The one I listened to didn't have anything quite like that. There was the speech with him in the end, just saying that this was kind of their, they couldn't go and soap everybody's windows,
Yes.
so this was their way of stepping
Yeah,
out
that's how
and
they
saying
ended
boo.
the show.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, but no, I got a little extra thing where after some of the backlash, they recorded a statement from Orson Welles to just basically apologize that apparently we did our job too well. And
Yes, yeah,
yes,
okay.
no, there was a whole thing about it. And so, yeah, no, because I downloaded it off of Apple Podcast as a 2-part item, so I had to deal with commercials too. So,
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I just listened to it off of YouTube.
yep, no, but it was interesting that I got that little extra snippet at the end. That was fun.
Yeah, very cool.
Do you want me to speak now? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Of course, we are deeply shocked and deeply regretful about the results of last night's broadcast. And it came rather as a great surprise to us that a story, the fine H.G. Wells classic fantasy, the original for so many succeeding comic strips and adventure stories and novels about a mythical invasion by monsters from the planet Mars, should have had so profound an effect upon radio listeners.
I was kind of curious, and I read into sort of a little bit as to why anyone would kind of fall for this. It's amazingly well done.
Yes.
That first hour is an amazingly well-produced hour of radio. But it is something where you got to take it in context, in the time of which this happened, in 1938.
Right.
The article I was reading was that America was just kind of coming out of the Depression. So they're all a little nervous. They're looking at things going on in Europe, which is
Scary as hell.
scary. That's looking like it's building up to possibly another world war. Apparently, just weeks earlier, there was a bad hurricane, and so there was lots of news reports about that. And then just like a year prior, there was the Hindenburg disaster,
Yeah.
which everyone listened to on the radio. So everyone's mind is kind of just tuned into just waiting for that next thing. When's the next shoe going to drop? And then Orson Welles comes and does this. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. I think I see it now.
Oh yeah, no, and listening to it, I was amazed at after the show starts, there is no necessarily indication that what they're doing is a radio show. They announce it at the beginning, but if you missed that, there is nothing that suggests. Now, other than, and I thought it funny, they did make a kind of a mid to late show announcement that this is
Yes.
this is our radio show, and getting back into it must have come back from like a commercial break of a kind, whatever the equivalent was in 1938. But yeah, there are moments there where if you're only catching it on the periphery, there's no way to distinguish what they're doing from any other news report you might get. The only parts where you might question it a little bit is, why are we listening directly to radio chatter from a military organization? That doesn't seem like something that would get piped into the radio system very much. But since they've got you in there, I actually got to give them credit too. They use sound effects properly when sound effects are required, but when you run into situations where, like we're hearing the blow-by-blow from somebody in the military, like literally in a plane trying to make an end run on one of the machines, and it just goes dead.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That's
Yeah.
a brilliant moment.
Yeah, and they let it stay dead for a couple of beats, and you're like, that's super effective. You guys really knew what you were doing.
That the first time they do it, I actually think it's they have their man in the field where they're in Trenton, New Jersey, and where the first cylinder came down, and you've got the man in the field and he's reporting, and then he starts reporting about the some sort of device or the ray, and it's coming this way, and it's just dead silence, and then it's like, well, due to the technical difficulties, we've lost it. I'm like, holy crap! I remember the first time I listened to this. I think I was I had it on like cassette, and I was listening to it in the car, like when I'm driving, and I had just stopped. I was in the parking lot for something. I was just kind of sitting in the dark listening to it, and that happened, and I'm just like, what the hell?
And that's with you already knowing what the hell you were listening to.
Yes. I'm like, that was so well done. And it's just, yeah, it hits you. I mean, you're literally on the edge of your seat at that moment, and you about fall off right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. Like I said, if you tune in anytime in where you're not expecting it, it really will throw you.
I read that the as you said, the midway point, I think it was actually closer to like maybe 40 minutes in or something like that,
Yeah,
where they came in and
it's past the halfway point, but
yeah, where someone, and you're listening to the Mercury Theater and dramatization of War of the World. As I understand it, they came in and did that after it started filtering into them that things were not all right outside. Oh, we need to remind people, which is actually really interesting because actually after that, the whole tone of the program changes. Then it's very obviously a radio play.
It is, and well, that's when it kind of switches into Orson Welles' character as the scientist doing journaling. He's talking about essentially the book that he's writing at the end of all of this, after the aftermath. So yeah, at that stage, you're completely let off the hook. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing, and while we're not going to be discussing the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds movie,
no, we're not.
It was clear that they took an element from the radio show that didn't make it into the 1953 movie. And I'm not as familiar with the original H.G. Wells stuff. It's been forever since I've read that. But in the journaling part, Orson Welles is talking about running into an infantryman that has holed up in like a barn, and is going over his crazy plan to take the world back, not only from the Martians but from anybody else that wouldn't do it. And as much as I am not a Tom Cruise fan, there are elements from that movie that I can get on board with, and the Tim Robbins scene from that movie is a direct descendant of that moment from Orson Welles' speech.
Yep. Both that scene in the radio and in the Tom Cruise film does come a little bit more from the novel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was actually that made that a lot better for me.
as does the black smog or whatever that the Martians spray that ends up kind of asphyxiating everybody, and you hear it again, in the beginning of the radio, where people, some sort of black smoke, and they're trying to talk, and then they don't realize that suddenly they can't breathe, and you're listening to it all on radio.
Yeah. And then I shared with you right after, or actually while I was still listening to the show on my hike, that I was particularly tickled by something that I have no idea if it has any correlation, but when the radio broadcast begins and they're starting this show, they started as if it's a different show altogether. Like, we're going to be playing music during this hour, and they've got their orchestra, and they're starting with a mariachi song, and it happens to be all of the opening sequence of a song that is then also duplicated in the Star Trek episode Deja Q, when Q is back with his powers and he shows up on the bridge and he's got a mariachi band. He is playing literally the same notes from the opening of the War of the Worlds broadcast. I tried looking, I couldn't find a direct correlation, but I gotta figure whoever's direction was in mind probably had a little fun with that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprised at all.
No,
that's interesting. If it's true, if they did do that on purpose, then good on them.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that's
That's
awesome.
a meta Easter egg. Like, you have to be in two different planes, but you have to be a hardcore sci-fi guy to really go, no way.
Yeah, it was a treat to listen to it again. It is an astonishingly well done radio play. I've listened to quite a few old time radio programs. Don't know if I've listened to any that accomplishes what this one does in the first, say, 10, 15 minutes. If you don't get that introduction, you're listening to the news. There's no indication. It's not until, like you were saying, where suddenly you're listening to the radio from the bomber plane, that you start going, well, how did they get that feed? How are we getting this information? I think they do give a kind of an excuse as to why and how in the program.
Yeah, they started off early, but then we start bouncing around to them kind of matter-of-factly, and it doesn't... If you're not caught up in the moment, and you can actually think about what you're hearing, you could start figuring out, oh, this really is a show.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're swept up in the hype of what's happening because they were very effective right at the onset, you might not catch on.
I love listening to this. It's been far too long since I have. I love the fact that it did cause some unrest, if not panic, some unrest. There were legitimate reports of people, trying to flee their homes and that sort of thing. There are reports from kids then, they're 70 or 80 now, but that say that, their family were packing up and were gonna leave. So it worked.
I always liked the reports that there were people out in the countryside shooting at water towers because they thought they were walkers.
Yeah, see, that's the stuff where I don't know if it's
that's true, but it sounds just close enough that I could buy it.
Yeah, I like to believe that might have happened at least once.
At least somewhere in New Jersey.
There was a film, I believe it was in the 70s or 80s. I believe it was a made-for-TV film called The Night That Panicked America, and it is an over-dramatization of the events of this night. And it does have, like, everyone in LA panicking and, clogging the freeways and people, as I said, committing suicide or getting ready to take out their entire family to keep them from being eaten by the Martians or something like that. And along with all that, though, they do kind of a fun inside look and I don't know how real it was.
Yeah.
But inside look at the making of the radio play, as far as how they were getting the special effects. I remember them supposedly, dragging a microphone cord into the bathroom and then opening a jar in the toilet to get the sound of the unscrewing cylinder. I'd love for that to be true. I don't know if it is.
Yeah, no. Well, and that's the fun part of this is, for what was supposed to be a well-intentioned, fun Halloween radio show, the mythos is almost as much fun as the reality.
All right, well, I think we should leave the radio program behind. We'll take a break here and play a promo for another podcast. And then when we get back, we're going to jump to 1953 and continue talking about War of the Worlds.
You are listening to a CBS presentation of Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in an original dramatization of The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. The performance will continue after a brief intermission.
The moving picture has been around since the late 1800s, and the first multi-reel motion picture debuted in 1906. Since that time, millions of movies have been made, and unfortunately, just as many have been lost. Many of the surviving early films are in what's called the public domain, meaning their copyrights have expired due to time, neglect, and on a rare occasion, error. On Orphaned Entertainment, Christopher and Lydia review and discuss these public domain works to do their small part in bringing awareness to these nearly forgotten films. Join them as they discover the foundations of modern cinema. Visit orphanedentertainment.com to learn more, or find the show wherever you listen to podcasts.
Directed by Byron Haskin and produced by George Powell, the film stars Gene Barry as Dr. Clayton Forrester, and yes, MST fans, that is where the name comes from. Anne Robinson as Sylvia Van Buren, and also appearing as Les Tremayne as General Mann, and Paul Frees makes an appearance as a radio reporter as well as provides the opening narration. Paul Frees, if you don't know the name, you know the voice. You've heard it on many, many cartoons, radio shows, announcements of the 30s and 40s. You'll know him.
Yep.
In the film, an apparent meteoroid crashes near the fictional town of Linda Rosa, California. Local residents, as well as vacationing scientist Clayton Forrester, investigate this strange occurrence. During the night, the meteor shows itself to actually be a delivery vehicle of an invading force of Martians. Every attempt to communicate with the aliens ends with the person vaporized by the Martian heat rays. Giant hovering war machines begin terrorizing the country, and the military seems incapable of stopping them. Even an atomic bomb has no effect on them as they quickly burn their way across every continent of the world. This is one of my favorite films. It's definitely one of my favorite films of the 1950s. It's one of my favorite sci-fi films, period.
Agreed.
And I'll admit that it has almost everything to do with just the general look of this film. The design of the Martian, the design of the Martian war machines. Love, love, love this film.
Yeah, as this will be no surprise to our viewers, obviously, in the sci-fi world, my favorite ship of all time is, of course, the Enterprise. My second favorite ship of any sci-fi thing ever is the Martian War Machine.
These are so interesting. They're so different than anything else we've seen up to this point.
Oh, absolutely. And every time I rewatch it, I find little more nuggets of how much more I love these things. Because I remember I remember criticisms when I was younger, much younger, a teenager and stuff, when friends would start seeing these things on the Saturday matinees and all that, and we're getting our first exposures to these films. And they go, well, I read the book and all, and they were walkers and all that, and I'm like, okay. And when you're watching in 1980 on TV in a bad copy, that's to begin with, you don't see everything. When you get to watch it later on better quality stuff, and you see that they actually thought of that, and there are actually 3 magnetic legs directly below the war machines. You're like, yes, it's even better than I thought.
Yeah, they do even in the film. Forrester actually says they're held up by some sort of magnetic legs.
Yes.
I mean, he describes what he's seeing, but
you can't
don't really
tell it from the graininess of older film.
Exactly. I actually read that the early transfers of this film, they were constantly putting it on like crappier stock. So when you watch this film on TV, it would actually make seeing the wires and stuff more visible.
Interesting.
So now that we have, like 1080p, 4K transfers, the wires disappear again.
Yeah.
And yes, and you start seeing the effect, the animated effect of the legs shooting out from underneath the war machines.
Yes.
And it seeing it on Blu-ray is such a wonderful experience compared to like watching your old VHS or DVD copy.
Oh yes, and I even remember when seeing it on better quality stuff, the bell jar shield shows up a lot more clearly than it did on prior viewings. And it's when we were discussing doing this for this show, it got me thinking, because I remember distinctly the 80s TV series that was supposed to be a direct sequel of this particular film. The Forrester that's in that series, who is supposed to be several removed, he mentions, because of the shape of the shielding, if somebody could get under a war machine while doing something benign, that you might actually have a shot at penetrating it, because that dome only seems to go down. It doesn't surround, because it would impede the magnetic legs.
Right.
So I geek out on all of it.
Oh, yeah. Now, we have Paramount Pictures special effects director Gordon Jennings responsible for a lot of this. He worked on The War of the Worlds. He unfortunately died of a heart attack before the film premiered for the public.
Aw.
Yeah, very sad. An estimated $1.4 million worth of the film's $2 million budget was spent on the special effects.
Yes. This is definitely an effects-driven film.
The Martian war machines were designed by Albert Nozaki, and the same blueprints were used a decade later, without the neck and cobra head, to construct the alien spacecraft in the film Robinson Crusoe on Mars, which well, also directed by Byron Haskin. And we actually mentioned that when we covered that film very early on in this series.
Yes, and thoroughly disappointed to the use.
So we got the Martian war machines. We have them with their heat rays that shoot out of the cobra head, the moving necks, and then they have the blasts that come out of the
wing tips.
The wing tips. That was supposed to be sort of like the replacement for the black smoke. They needed something that, because in the radio show and in the novel, the black smoke would pretty much leave skeletal remains.
Right.
It would dissolve so they needed something. So these bursts of energy were kind of, I think they were referred to in the film as like their skeletal rays or something like that, because you saw exactly what would happen when our poor general gets hit.
Oh yeah. That's your one super shocking moment in the whole film.
Yes. And I thought it was really cool that the sound effects for those live on, because those are pretty much the same sound effects that we hear in Star Trek when it fires its photon torpedoes.
Yeah. like I said, nothing not to love. I'm also thoroughly fascinated. I understand the heat ray effect. It essentially involved taking a razor blade to the film.
Yes, it's just scratching the negative.
But not just scratching the negative. Think about how many frames you have to do that on to make it effective. And that means you shot your footage and you're essentially defacing your footage for an effect, and you have no idea whether or not... I'm sure they played a couple of test runs before going, yes, this is how we're doing this. Because essentially you're ruining the film to make the film. That's awesome.
I feel a little bad that it's always George Powell's War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
The producer is always associated with this film. And poor Byron Haskin is kind of just left outside. And, he's the director of the movie. And the film, I think, direction-wise, is really good.
Yeah.
And George Powell, yes, he fronted the money, but it's not the Gordon Jennings War of the Worlds. It's not Albert Nozaki. It's not Byron Haskin. It's George Powell.
Right, yeah, and I can't think of another time. Is there any other film that isn't referred to? If you're going to refer to it as belonging to somebody, it's usually the director.
Right.
After all, Jaws is not whoever produced it. It's Spielberg's. So.
Now, George Powell probably was responsible for pulling together the special effects team. George Powell was well practiced in special effects. He did a lot of miniature work and everything long before War of the Worlds came around.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some credit. I just think it's interesting that it's his name that's always attached to the film, and so many other talented names are just almost erased from history because of it.
Right. Yeah, no. After I saw some of his pedigree, I get it. Mm-hmm. But still.
You said it earlier. This is definitely an effects film. Mm-hmm. The story is pretty simple.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a whole lot in the way of plot, and it is still a very 1950s film.
Oh, very much so.
Things happen very quick. We've got the 1950s romance that takes all of 3 hours and a night in a ditch.
Well, yes, and unfortunately you have the over-dramatized response of the female lead. I mean, she screams at everything, and I'm like, all right, you can back it down a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I think if suddenly faced with an alien invasion, it might be justified.
It might be, but I mean, there were moments rewatching, and I love this film to death, but there are a couple of moments where I'm like, all right, take it. I'm like, yes, I get that everything is very scary and very intense in the moment, but you're also in a survival situation in some of this. Ratchet it down and move on. You need to get to safety. Stop screaming.
There are some scenes in this film that are iconic, to say the least. The first time we see the heat ray is definitely one of them.
Oh, yeah, the trio of men standing before it, obliterated. Yes.
I don't know if you remember the first time you watched this film or not, but the first time you see this film, you don't know exactly what's happening. Mm-hmm. It all seems fairly benign. This thing is just looking around. It might be just a camera. But then that noise starts building up. And then the screeching of the ray shoots out and just engulfs these men. That's a brilliant... Again, Byron Haskin, if your spirit is listening, well done, sir.
Yeah, quite.
Because that is not just special effects. That is that is planning, that is direction, and that was really, really well done.
It's drama, which is entirely the point of a film. You built up suspense, and the release was even more than one could hope for. Yes, no, it was fantastic. Everything about that machine is iconic, too, because even seeing it in better quality stuff, the clear lens in front of that, because even watching it sweep around the landscape while you're thinking, scouting, okay, and seeing that orange honeycomb thing behind there, and what is that sound that
yes,
that it does just as it's just moving around gently, and it's almost because they designed the thing to look like a cobra head. I get a very sense of a snake charmer kind of moment, even when it's just in its relaxed state, just scanning, and everything about it just makes a shiver go up your spine when it starts happening too. I'm like, it's just such a good moment. Everything about Haskin putting this together is intense.
No, very, and the design of the thing, as I said, it was unlike anything we had seen up to that point. Alien spacecraft were almost always rocket ships or UFOs.
Flying saucers.
Big flying saucers, discs. Yeah, UFO.
Yep.
Flying discs.
Yep.
To have something like this with the curves, the manta kind of imagery, so sleek, no joints, apparent or anything like
seams.
that. The seams, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Was so alien, and I think that just adds to the kind of wonder when you're watching this film. God, to be in that theater in 1958.
Oh, I know, right?
It's seeing this for the first time in a theater full of people. That would have been amazing.
It really would have, yeah. And 1953, this is still early color, so having this in Technicolor, seeing that...
Yeah, excuse me, I keep saying 58, 1953.
Yes. But, see, even the coloring of the ship, the bold green, for lack of a better term, chest plate with the green tips and the shiny copper. It's just, you didn't see anything like that.
I hand this to Haskin. When the War Machines start their rampage, it is relentless. For the next 5 minutes of this film, it is just the screeching of the heat ray. It's the blasts of the skeletal ray. It's the noise of the war machines. It's the explosions of the army. It's people screaming. It again, a little bit like the first part of the radio show. It is. I mean, it pulls you in, and you feel like you are in a war zone.
Oh, and then when they get around to actually explaining the tactics as they're observing them, how, and I really latched onto this in the 80s, to the notion of this particular species being very much all about points of three, triangles, that just the sense and the fact that they have 3 digits on their hands and on their feet. Their eye is segmented in 3s, and then they've built their entire technology around that notion. So everywhere they go, every cylinder contains 3 machines. In every area, there are 3 cylinders. So you compound to 9 with it, and then their tactic of go into a triangle pattern, wipe out everything inside of that triangle, sweep an arc around to make a new triangle, and do it over again, and do it over again. The amount of despair that you could actually kind of feel in this level of organization even in just this 1953 movie, I'm like, this is it. Humanity's done.
Yeah. Oh, listen to the army, the military, talking about that. They in their first encounter, they lost like 90% of equipment and 60% of the men, or something like that. The Air Force went in, none of them came out.
Right.
Yeah, and then they get desperate quick. Because they figure if they don't stop them now in New Jersey,
California in this case.
Oh yeah, excuse me. Yeah, they moved everything to California.
Your head's still in the radio show.
It is still in the radio show. Yeah, if they don't stop them there, then they don't know what they're going to do. Right. So whatever they do, if they succeed, that's what everyone will do everywhere else in the world where this is happening. Right. Which the idea of everyone dropping atomic bombs all over themselves is a little frightening.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's their plan. They're going to take the atomic bomb. Not only is it an atomic bomb, it's the most powerful atomic bomb that has ever been detonated to that point, apparently.
And we're going to do it in a vaguely populated area.
Yes. Yeah, so everyone just go around the hill and close your eyes. You'll be fine. And then they drop the bomb. You see the explosion. And again, a fantastic scene when you're effectively looking through the eyeglasses. You're looking through the binoculars, and the smoke clears, and there's the war machine floating out of the smoke.
Yep.
Untouched, unfazed.
Yeah.
It did nothing. Yeah, everything, all the hope that you might have had is gone.
And they have very effectively kind of drop it out at that point, too. I mean, everyone is basically gripping for their turn. The running through the streets when Forrester is now resigned to, he just wants to find the girl.
Right.
Because they all essentially know it's over.
Yeah. Their only hope is through science. Maybe they can find a chemical way, a biological way to fight them.
Right.
And yeah, so you see the panic in the street. You see somebody who's they're any vehicle that's coming by, the mob is trying to take so they can escape the city. The one guy's like, here, I'll give you, I got money. Like, money's not good anymore. Kicks them off. And they all go tearing off with the car. I love it. Yes. Is it a studio backlot? Yes.
Yes.
Does it still look amazing? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that whole notion that no one could be argued with, these were the scientists trying to explain we're trying to get somewhere with our gear to actually try to fight, and no one will hear.
No one's listening. No one's listening.
No.
Yeah.
Sounds a little familiar these days, but okay.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I'd take the Martians. I also, I always truly appreciate, and I know it was built into the story already, but the appreciation that the aliens themselves, these Martians, they're not sniveling, drooling monsters, growling and hissing uncontrollably. When you even do get to see them, they acknowledge that these are hyper-intelligent creatures, that because they are what they are, they're actually frail by comparison to us. But their intellect and their technology is so far off of what we have that we just don't have a prayer.
Yeah. There's actually that's what I really love about this film is, yes, it's an effects film. It's all about Martians invading and lasers and explosions. But there's actually some thought and some discussion and some science that goes on in the film. They're studying the blood, and they're talking about, I've never seen blood so anemic. And yeah, they're actually having the talk about, intellectually they're way above us, but physically, they're really inferior to man. How they see, Yeah, the description that they give of the actual appearance of them and everything. It's just impressive that a little bit of effort and thought went into all aspects.
Yeah, no,
of
the notion
story.
of what we know of Mars, they're actually kind of trying to think, what would a creature in that kind of environment and atmosphere, if it was a real thing? I thoroughly appreciate that. I did have some laughable 1953's moments, though, because every time anyone asked Forrester anything, whether he was an expert on it or not, he had an idea. He put it out there, and we were going to take it all as gold. And okay. Everything you were saying is complete conjecture, but I'll go with it. But I get it. We got 85 minutes of this this film. We got to keep the pace going. So, but yes, I couldn't help but be amused at that.
You're tall, you're handsome, you have a deep voice. You must, and you were there when it all started, so you must know what to do.
Right. Well, and he's a legitimate scientist on top of it. So,
no, absolutely, very good point.
But just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you're a doctor of everything.
Yeah. There is some fun moments that do kind of... there are eye roll moments in the film.
Of course.
Absolutely. There is the super sappy, sweet... when Sylvia first meets Forrester, and she doesn't immediately realize who he is.
Right.
Actually, that's a really fun scene.
It is. It's cute.
That is actually really cute, where he says, "Oh, no, yeah, I know him a little bit." "Oh, what's he like?" "Well, he's like me." And she realizes, "Oh, I didn't recognize you with the scruff and the glasses." And he does that. The eye roll moment is like, "Well, I only need to see it when I'm looking at distance. When I want to see something up close, I take them off." And he looks at Sylvia. You're like, "Oh, brother."
Yeah. Like, smooth.
Oh, yeah.
No, but those moments intermingled with total mayhem just make it all the more worthwhile.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, it's not where they do try to work some science in. Not all the science works because you have to kind of advance the plot.
Yes.
The heat ray is used for the first time, and the power goes out because it also hits the power lines. And then there's something about everything's magnetized. Everybody's watch is magnetized. The phones don't work because it's all magnetized. Never explained where that comes from, and it's never explained why the cars still work.
Right, yeah, no. Yeah, they're all futzing with their watches, and then all of a sudden somebody rolls up in a truck. And they're like,
right.
How'd you get that going?
Yeah. So yeah, no real explanation to the magnetized watches and telephones or anything.
Also, they drop that very quickly. Otherwise,
they do.
Otherwise, how is any of the military getting around to doing anything?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that they even brought it up because it plays no part in the film at any other point, other than the fact that the idea that the technology is obviously they use magnetic forces somehow.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, why, if that's their ability, if they could blanket the entire area with some sort of dampening field or something like that, why don't they?
Yeah,
and stop the military.
I get the impression that's built into the story more in maybe the source or something else that I've missed. But yeah, they lose track of their own stuff very quickly. Continuity. That's for another generation.
There is a moment where I kind of get a kick out of it. I don't know that it's meant, and maybe it is, but there's the moment when Sylvia's uncle, who just happens to be a priest, decides that no one's tried to talk to him yet.
Right. And
he goes out into the battlefield with just his Bible as he's saying the Lord's Prayer. And then, of course, he gets heat rayed,
Yeah.
And yeah, the military, they're all watching us from the bunker, and that happens, and it's like, you feel like, they got the priest! Fire!
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think they had at least their notion, okay, this isn't going any other way right now.
No, I know. I mean, they were planning to attack anyway. It's just, it's funny that the entire army just sits back and waits for the one guy that stepped out when he wasn't supposed to. But as soon as he gets gunned down, whoa, open fire!
Yeah, well, we need our retribution.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that we all get immediately annihilated.
Right, yes.
Actually, you know, Forrester and Sylvia are some of the luckiest people in the world because they managed to be in the middle of the thick of all of this at every single turn and still managed to come out unscathed.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. We find out, we learn early on that Clayton can fly.
Right.
But I wonder if he can do anything than fly in circles, because he grabs the military plane, he flies, but apparently just around in a circle because he gets hit by by something, by some shrapnel from one of the explosions or something, and then crashes just about a mile away from the war machine.
I was prepared in that moment to give it a little other credit because they had talked about, again, the cylinders falling in groups.
Oh, so maybe it's another...
So he probably got about a mile or so away and came across another cylinder with its 3 war machines. Just because it happened to look exactly like where they already were is because we still only have so much money in the budget.
All right, you know what? Fair enough. I will accept that is just a completely different area of battle.
See there, I let you give it a get out of jail free card.
Yep, perfect. Real quick, another iconic scene is when we finally get a view of the Martian outside of the war machine. I think that's a great scene when they're trying to escape the farmhouse that they've taken shelter in.
Mm-hmm.
And Clayton is trying to clear the door so they can get up to the attic and get over the dirt that's been piled up all around the house. And Sylvia's there helping throw boards and everything. And then that spindly hand just shows up over her shoulder. The look on Anne Robinson's face is so fantastic right there. I absolutely love that. And then the spin, the flash of the light, you see the Martian with its RGB eyeball.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I love it. And it's there for a few seconds. That creature was created and is on camera for, 4 seconds?
You get kind of before they're aware of where the Martians are, you do get a background shot of the same creature.
Yes.
Kind of moving around in the background. So you get a sense of its shape and its size.
Yes.
But yes, you're right. We don't get a whole lot of FaceTime. And then we have to get to possibly, it's right on the movie poster, the effective use of the arm at the death of the creatures. The arm coming down.
Yes.
The bottom opens up out of one of the war machines, and the arm is going down, and it's trying to inch its way because.
Oh yes.
And kudos to the effects team too, because they had talked about earlier that likely when they were just trying to describe what one of the Martians might be like physiologically because of the atmosphere of Mars and its low light and all that stuff. They had mentioned any of their circulatory system might be distended or anything. And then as we're seeing the arm come out and it's dying, you can literally watch the blood pump through the...
Yes, I was wondering if you noticed that. Yeah, they actually bothered to put air bladders to have the arm kind of pulsate in places until it would slow down and then stop entirely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No, I absolutely that to to this day is one of the most haunting things. And we hang our hat a little too much on God and religion there at the end. But this is also one of those films where I absolutely adore. We didn't get ourselves out of anything.
No.
No, it is straight up biology that caused the end of the Martians in this case. And that has to be somehow thoroughly defeating. I get why they would cling to the more religious aspect, but we were done.
Yeah.
We were done. This was over. Done deal. Martians moving in. They're pitching their tent. Mm-hmm. And only for this circumstance of oversight on their part is why this all comes to an end.
Thanks, COVID-19.
Wow.
We've been saved from the Martian invasion again.
Yes. But I mean, I absolutely adore those scenes too, where they manage to have the machines. They're losing control. It's clear something's happening, and even kind of the spinning down of them as they eventually crash into the sides of buildings and such. I thought that was just so cool. And then the arm coming out at the end there. That's just amazing. I loved every minute of that.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I like the fact that while we do get a narration, a voiceover explaining what just happened, as far as our characters go, the movie just stops.
Right.
And I love the idea of them going, I don't know what just happened here. Now, Clayton probably knew because, Clayton.
Well, of course, because, he knows everything.
Right.
Just ask him.
Yeah, but I love the idea of the entire world on the brink of destruction and then going, and now what?
and this is just because this is where my head works. Fantastic film and all that, and I'm enamored with that 80s series that continued it on, but my biggest qualm with the 80s series is you have a world littered with war machines that everyone is going to begin cannibalizing and reverse engineering, and we are going to learn everything we possibly can about the Martians and how they got to where they were. I want the follow-up.
Yeah. They kind of, if I remember right in the series, they sort of ignore all that, don't they?
They basically say that the governments of the world all collected up everything and hid it all away, including the bodies of the aliens. And then I remember distinctly the reason the aliens come back at all is because we made the poor choice of storing the alien bodies among nuclear waste, and the nuclear waste then rids them of the various germs that killed them in the first place, which is how they come back.
Yeah.
But we forget that the world is littered with war machines.
Right. Yeah, I find it hard to believe that one of those suckers didn't get into private hands pretty quick.
Well, and think about it. It's not just the war machines. It's the cylinders that brought them here, which make those more sophisticated spacecraft than you actually realize. Because there are 3 war machines docked in there, and this thing had navigation. So this is me getting super geeky about the whole thing. But yeah,
right.
There's a whole different world after the War of the Worlds that just didn't ever get to be unfolded.
Even if the military did scoop everything up, our advancements in technology that would have made its way to the private sector, would have been a little visible after about 30 years.
Yeah, and we'd all have flying cars. Or at least walking cars.
Yeah, magnetic
walking cars, yes.
Yep. the film is so much damn fun.
There's never a bad time to watch this. This is comfort food. I can turn this on almost any time.
I didn't realize it. I forgot. I actually own this twice. I have this on 2 different Blu-rays. I believe the one I watched was off the Criterion Collection Blu-ray, but I also have it on another Blu-ray that I hung on to because it's the only way to have When Worlds Collide.
Ah, okay.
It's a 2-pack, so I believe that's another George Powell production. Also, one I need to go back and watch because I haven't watched that one in ages either.
Perhaps for a visitation of another time, but it doesn't involve
absolutely.
Mars, so it can't escape this year yet.
It has to wait. Yep, it has to wait. Oh, well, I don't have any social media. I'm very disappointed. I thought I'd get some comments on this film, and I did not. So, you folks that, if you're listening, or you Facebook group members, whatever, very disappointed in you.
For shame. However, I was able to pull together a couple of snippets even from 1953. So
Sweet. Yeah. I was hoping you would. I have not read any. I'm excited to hear these.
Don't get too excited because as in 1953 movie reviewing, it's pretty brief.
Okay.
But at any rate, our friend A.W. that we spoke with last time from New York Times, he says, The War of the Worlds is, for all of its improbabilities, an imaginatively conceived, professionally turned adventure which makes excellent use of Technicolor, special effects by a crew of experts, and impressively drawn backgrounds. Equally important is the fact that director Byron Haskin, thank you for giving him his props, working from a tight script by Barry Lyndon, or Barry Lyndon, however you say that.
I think it's Barry.
Has made his excursion suspenseful, fast, and on occasion properly chilling. So
yeah, very good. And yes, thank you, AW, for giving Mr. Haskin his due.
Yes, great.
That's fantastic.
And then over at Variety, we have William Brogdon. The War of the Worlds is a socko science fiction feature. As fearsome as a film as was the Orson Welles 1938 radio interpretation of the H.G. Wells novel. What starring honors there are go strictly to the special effects, which create an atmosphere of soul-chilling apprehension so effectively that audiences will actually take alarm at the danger posed in the picture. It can't be recommended for the weak-hearted, but to the many who delight in an occasional good scare, it's socko entertainment of hackle-raising quality. This guy really liked socko for some reason. It literally was in there twice. And then the only other little snippet I got that I could date to 1953, unfortunately, I couldn't get the whole review. Thank you, Wikipedia, for what little there was. But this is from Washington Post, Richard L. Coe. He said a number of things, one of which, a real winding, called it terrific. And then he goes, for my money, the King Kong of its day.
Wow, all right.
So putting this on the level of another truly classic science fiction film.
Excellent. Well, this was, I believe, Academy Award-winning special effects film. So
no doubt.
Yeah. It's really awesome that it was obviously seen as enjoyable then as it is now. You know, so often these films are looked at as novelties of the or whatever at the time. They actually look like they saw this one for what it was.
Well, and even as I was researching this and pulled up Metacritic to get see if I could find anything more from the period, most of its reviews were from different dates through time since 1953. And there doesn't seem to be an era where there aren't those that fully appreciate it. I mean, it scored in the like 7.5 range on their scale. So yeah, it is appreciated for all the glory that it has.
Super fun film. So awesome. I was kind of jonesing, just waiting for us to get around to it this year.
I'm glad that so many of our other so-called Mars-based movies finally granted us permission to include this one, because again, it does not take place on Mars, but as so many of our other attempts, neither did they.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's more Mars about this than a few of the films we've talked about.
Absolutely.
So. There's more Mars in this than the last film we talked about.
There is, absolutely. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that. So, yes. So, absolutely love this one. Love that we were able to do this for Halloween.
Anybody who didn't leave any comments previously and want to mention anything after the fact, please do so. So next time, we're going to take a very different route. This film was actually recommended to us by former co-host Matt. He wondered if it was on our list. I knew of the film Rocket Man from 1997, maybe only from like the VHS or DVD cover of like the guy in the inflated spacesuit. You've all seen this thing. I didn't know anything about the film, but apparently it really is a film about a guy that goes to Mars. So it is a family comedy from Disney, but I still think it'd be interesting to kind of add this to the mix.
It may have more Mars than this movie had. So. Yes, no, I literally hadn't heard of this film until you mentioned it today.
So I'm expecting kind of just a stupid young adult, not even young adult, probably teenage level.
Tweeners.
Yeah. Comedy, but I think it'll be. It might be kind of fun to just turn off the critic.
Yeah, we'll just go have
time.
a good time watching something ridiculous.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for listening to the Time Shifters podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts on this episode, whether it's feedback, questions, or just anything you want to share. Please reach out via email or drop a comment on any of the social media posts. Follow the link in the show notes or head to timeshifterspodcast.com.
If you've got a moment, please consider leaving a rating or review. It really helps more people discover the show, and who knows, they might become Martians too.
If you're feeling extra generous, you can toss a little Martian cubit, a little support our way at Ko-fi.com/TSPOE podcasts. Every bit goes towards the web hosting and production costs. The show will always be free, but any help you can provide is really appreciated.
And if you'd like to gather a walker of your own or just like cool stuff to support, check out our merch at TeePublic or Dashery. Links are in the show notes and on our site. You'll be helping us out and supporting some awesome artists at the same time.
Yeah, I may have to figure out a way to come up with my own War of the Worlds themed t-shirts. I don't have any.
I insist upon it.
Well, that's going to do it. Thanks again, everyone. We will catch you next time. Bye.
See ya.